I didn't flip the intro over. I was like, why is it still grey? What happened there? I hope everything sounds good because we're trying out the new microphone, and we also upgraded the camera, so hopefully you can see us in slightly better high definition. Actually, it is literally high definition. We got a high definition camera.
I don't know if I like high definition.
Oh,
not at my age.
Well, the end result is that it doesn't look any clearer at the other end. It just looks, the data going into YouTube is clearer. That's the idea. The webcam can capture and clearer. So hopefully it looks better, right?
Take your word for it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rory? We've got an impromptu little guest. We've got a new member of the Pouchy family with us tonight. She's sat on my knee at the moment, but she might pop out later.
We can get her out for a cuddle.
Yeah.
I've been suffering with a horrible cold for the last week, pretty much. This only 2 days. So if I sound a bit weird, if I cough randomly, if you hear me all snotty, you know why. I'm just kind of getting over that. I think I'm kind of back to where I was before, but I booked this week off of work because we were getting Rory. You were off for the school holidays. I was off for a week because we thought we could spend it with Rory. And I'd spent like 2 days of it in bed, and the rest of it just sitting on the sofa. It's been horrible.
Yeah, it's been surprisingly relaxing though. Whereas I'm normally running around doing things for the whole
Probably
week.
a bit closer to the microphone, darling.
The whole week or so when I'm off. I've actually had to slow down this holiday. It's not been that bad, and touch wood, I have not got it.
No, exactly. If I point the microphone at you, because otherwise it sounds like you're far away. Right, we'll see if that still picks me up all right.
Hello!
You're just going to deafen everyone if you do that. In an ideal circumstance, we would have 2 of these microphones, and when I went to buy another one, because you ideally want 2 of the same types, they sound the same. They don't do them anymore.
No.
Which is typical. Right, today we have, of course, we've got to talk about the driving rats, haven't we?
Definitely.
Because that's such a big thing. We've got to talk about them. We want to talk about the strange mystery of the missing rats in Canada, which was something that I stumbled upon online. It wasn't even for this, and I thought it's quite interesting. We've got some bits to talk about Rory and her joining the mischief.
Yeah, we've also got a little update on one of the hero rats that we sponsor. I don't know if everybody's aware, so I'm going to talk about Shuri as well.
Yeah, and what else do we have?
And how you come up with names for your pets.
Yeah. So we'll jump straight
and anything
in.
else.
Yeah, well, there are bound to be other bits, just anything. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing okay. Let's jump straight into the driving rats. So this has been everywhere. I love it when these sort of things come up, these sort of bits of news come up, that it gets people, not just rat people, but people from all walks of life interested in rats, or actually thinking, wow, aren't they great? This is one of them happy, smiley stories that have come up. How much do you know about what they were actually studying? What the purpose was?
Very little, other than flipping over it on social media.
So the study was conducted by the University of Richmond in the US, and they were explaining that it was mainly to do with monitoring whether. I think basically part of it was, could it be done? Could a rat drive a car? Could a rat drive a car? But they were looking at stress levels and whether driving reduces them or increases them.
Yeah, that's what I read.
So I'll start. So we've got a lovely video of these rats driving. If we flip over here, everyone's probably seen this. This is from social viral to go. Let's have just a quick look. So they're having to drive to a certain bit, and then they get a treat for doing it, which is great. They've got like a nice top down. I mean, to be fair, they're actually pretty
They're
good
steering
at
it as well.
Yeah.
And they're voluntarily getting into the car, so it must be something that they're happy to do.
Well, I don't know if they're voluntarily getting in the car, because the back of the container that it's built from is like a screw top.
But I saw one walk into it.
Oh.
Just at the start of the video, it voluntarily got in there itself.
Well, they probably know the tricks, but you can see how it's like, right, no, it's not over there. Let's turn around a bit more. Let's turn around. And let's go down there.
So what is the steering mechanism?
So this is I found. So I'm very much into my gadgets, IT and technology. So I was instantly drawn, because I was like, this is really, really cool. How did they build this thing? So I actually had a look to see how it was made or what they'd actually done. So really, really simple design. And this is what led me to think, oh, I kind of want to build one. I kind of want to do one for the Pouchies. And it was going to be my plan for this week. If I'd not been ill, I think I would have probably maybe given it a shot. Essentially what they've done is they've got a normal remote control car, nothing particularly special, and made a flat bottom on it, and that's covered in tin foil, and that's connected to one side of a circuit board, so that's probably like a common ground. And then they've got these copper grills going up the sides, so they've basically got some copper wire and they've threaded it round one side and then threaded it on the front and on the back. And they're connected to a capacitive circuit. So a capacitive circuit is something that when you touch it, you become part of that circuit, and you're grounding it through the aluminium at the bottom, aluminium foil. So if they touch the side, it's going to turn the steering left.
Right, I did
on the
notice
right.
they were leaning to each side, yeah.
So all they do is they turn around and they literally grab onto the side and it turns it, and if they grab to the front, it goes forward. And it's really quite simple. You know, you wouldn't have to do anything more than just change the mechanism that receives the control from the remote control to receive the signal from that instead, which would be really, really easy to do. And you can see it looks like they've literally just put that together in a day. It's relatively inexpensive. So I was on the lookout for any cheap remote control cars to give it a go, because I think a bit of copper wire and a couple of hours, and you could probably have a working prototype. But yeah, it's really interesting. So we're studying how this driving was affecting the hormones. So they were measuring 2 hormonal markers that would represent stress in an animal, including herself, and that was it's not cortisone.
Cortisol.
It's not cortisol. It's something else. I can't pronounce the word.
Corticosterone.
Yep, and the other one, which is, good luck with trying to read that one.
Dehydropiandrosterone.
Yeah, them. Whatever that is, them. I'm not even going to try and say them. I can
That's
barely say my.
I've heard of the other one before.
I can barely say my own name, let alone them. But essentially, the first one that Claire said, in higher levels, indicates high levels of stress. In higher levels indicates a high level of stress, and the other one in lower levels indicates a high level of stress. So you would want the cortisol type thing to be higher if they were stressed and lower if they're not, and the other one to be higher if they're not stressed and lower. So they tried to do doing a control group of studying them when they were normal in the maze without anything to do, and then when they're getting treats just wandering around this maze, and then when they're driving, and they found that the stress levels in them went down when they were driving. And in order to rule out, is it just the motion of being driven in these cars that would reduce the stress, or was it being in control? They tried putting them in a different version of that, where the grills didn't steer them, the researchers steered them, and the stress levels went up.
They enjoy it if they're driving.
They want to be driving.
Yeah.
They were absolutely mad. So the conclusion studied that it was demonstrating something called neuroplasticity, which shows an animal's ability to respond flexibly to challenges, which is something that they say requires a high level of thinking. Again, backing up
neuroplasticity is learning.
Yeah,
it's forming new connections in the brain.
It's something that anyone who keeps rats would say, well, we know that this is kind of what they're capable of doing. But I think it's a great study what they've done. I think the rats probably quite enjoyed it themselves. Yeah. And all they've obviously done is a blood test before and after on them to test these hormone levels. So it's not something rather invasive on them.
It might have been done with urine tests.
Or urine test, yeah. I mean, they mentioned...
Which is even less
yeah,
so.
Yeah. I even got a couple of tweets out to the guys who did the study who seemed quite interested when I mentioned about doing it for the pouches. They were like, oh, maybe for the next round. So, yeah, I actually had a few tweets of some of the guys involved in the study, which was pretty good. They spoke a bit about what they were looking to do in follow-up experiments. So what they wanted to do is they want to understand how their neural pathways are made, how they learn to drive, how that process of them learning is done. Because what we see is them very, very good at driving. We don't see when they're first learning and spinning around and getting really confused. So they think they want to study that, but they also want to look at how Parkinson's disease affects motor control and movement and spatial awareness, because now they've done that, they can see how it would affect a human also driving and their ability to judge and use tools essentially. So yeah, really interesting. and I'll be curious to see where that goes. But in the meantime, I would like to explore maybe trying to make something for the pouches to see if they would be down for it.
I think the whole element, the real deciding factor in doing this is the fact that the rats enjoyed controlling the vehicle, but they didn't enjoy riding on it if somebody else was in control. So the thought of sticking them in a remote control car really isn't.
Yeah. Oh, no,
and flying them around the house in it really isn't an option.
It's not that they want it, so you'd have to customise it so the same thing. And I really like the way that they've used the control mechanism of the copper wires, because you're not relying on a button to be pressed or anything. It's just, I'm going to grab here to go forward, grab here to go sideways.
This would have taken weeks or months.
Yeah, I mean, the actual design I don't think would have taken them very long.
No, the learning process.
But teaching them to use it would have done. So really curious. Huge shout out to University of Richmond for doing
fantastic work. For
doing what I think is a real interesting study and something that really, really, really pushes how smart rats are to a bigger community. Something that they can never be short of. So there. Did you want to do your Shuri update, and then I will do.
I will once I stop.
Sorry, am I keeping you away? If you do your Shuri update, then I will do the Curious Coast, the missing rats.
Yeah, okay. We support a Paw, and last year, some of you might know, I think most of you will, that we went out there to the headquarters and watched the rats being trained in the laboratories, which was absolutely brilliant. We met some of the rats that work there. We met some of the ones that were just babies and are being trained. And we decided to adopt one, so we went onto the website. Anyone can do this. You can adopt a hero rat. I can't remember the exact figure per month, but it's a subscription, and that helps to finance and train the further work that they're doing. Where did Shuri go? Yeah, Shuri was training when we adopted her. And
we saw her, didn't we?
We did, yeah, and that was in 2018, just after we came back. She became available for adoption, and we adopted her, and we sponsor her, so she gets a little bit of money every month towards teaching other rats to do what she does. She was shipped to Angola with 15 other rats. I did a little follow-up on her progress today. And before they were sent out into the fields, they had to be acclimatised, they had to get used to their new owners, and they also had to undergo like a refresher course, if you like. Shuri and the other rats were put into a portioned off piece of field which was 200 by 200 metres squared, and within that field the handlers didn't know where the TNT was, the rats didn't know, so it was a blind. Blind test. It was a blind study to see how they would perform, just to make sure that they weren't going to get a lot of what are often false positives. They don't tend to get false negatives.
Yeah.
But they put all of the rats through their paces, and not a single one failed the test, including Shuri. The monthly update for September was that she scanned and cleared 741 square mile? No, not miles.
Meters.
Square miles. She's not that good.
God, she's thundering through that.
Acres, yeah.
Football pitches.
But she did 78 hours work apparently. They keep such good records on what they're all doing.
They do, and then they do share that with people.
It's amazing, yeah.
Really...
Yeah, so she's still doing brilliant work out there, and it's really nice to think that we've got some tiny little part in that. It's a great Christmas present. If anyone out there is struggling for what to buy the person who's got everything.
Well, I did this. I think I've probably mentioned this before, haven't I? But
you've bought bananas and things.
I bought one of the things for someone in work. I was like, well, I don't really know what to get them. I know nothing about this. It was one of these Secret Santa things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about this person. I don't know what their likes are. I don't know what their dislikes are. So I thought, well, no one can really complain, and he's big into his NGOs, and he really likes all these different things. So I got that, and he was really, really like, oh, I never knew that. I knew you kept them, but I didn't know they did this. And since then, I think he's actually got some for his family as well, some of the little Popo gifts. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah, I bought me brother and his husband a goat from Oxfam a few Christmases back. So they're probably due. They're probably due a charity gift.
Wasn't to feed the family, was it?
What, the goat itself?
Yeah.
No, I think they give the goat to the family to produce milk, or at least that's what I think. I think they do with it. Depends on how hungry they are, bless them.
Well, true. Well, do you want to hear about the mystery of the missing rats?
I think before we start thinking about bush meat and killing people's goats and eating them, then that's probably a good idea.
That's true.
Was she? She's got a little friend.
Shall I let you see?
Yeah.
Got little Rory with us.
There she is. I don't know how long she's going to behave herself for, so we'll just...
She's actually really well behaved.
Rory. Oh, she's hiding now, look. I'll keep her on my knee. She's beautiful. We'll talk about her in a little while. Mwah.
She'll just sit there all day long.
Come on, Rose.
So what if I told you that rats, as in Norway rats, the common rats, one of the most successful species of rats,
definitely,
are on virtually every continent, and apart from the Arctic and the Antarctic, and they are spread right across the globe. You wouldn't be slightly bit surprised.
No.
But what if I told you that there is one province in Canada where there is no rats?
That is really crazy. They must have made a very, very big effort not to have rats. How did they do it?
Well, I have a map. Let me show you the map. Let's get it up. There. So, This is a map that shows where Norway rats are and where they're not. There's obviously a couple of islands. Now, islands are very, very good for... especially when it comes to preserving local wildlife from removing them. We have this around the UK. Jeez, woman.
Carry on.
A couple of islands around the UK that have eradicated them. Mainly preserve like local bird populations, but I think they're too small to really show on this map anyway. But you can see how mainly some of these top regions, and the Arctic and the Antarctic, don't have rats. But you've got this great big splodge in like Canada. And I saw this map and I went, well, why is there none there? And it's quite an interesting story. Goes completely different from us saying how great they are, and this is kind of not the not so great, but it's so let me get me notes because otherwise I forget the ins and outs. So this stems from I need to put the streaming back on. There we go. Lovely picture of me in my t-shirt. This comes back from something that was pushed in the province of Alberta in Canada. And this was in the 1950s. It was one of the last areas in Canada to actually get the migration of the Norway rats. Most places hadn't had them by then. They were moving obviously up, and they were trying to use any warm summers they could to move as far up as they could. So yeah, in the 1950s, the local authority decided that they were going to eradicate them completely from the province. And everyone at the time was like, "You're mad, how are you going to do that?" And they did. They went all out full war on the Norway rats to drive them completely out of their province. They introduced something called the Agricultural Pests Act of Alberta that was designed to do it. And they got all of the community involved in this province. They all had to report if they'd seen a rat. If you didn't, it was illegal and you could be fined just for not reporting that you'd seen one. And it was that if you saw anything you thought could be, you had to report it. And for this reason, they had a lot of a lot of false reports, things like squirrels, ground squirrels. But most of them were found. They were either removed, killed, poisoned, or generally got rid of from the province, to the point that even today that law still stands, and it's one of the few places in Canada that it is illegal to own a rat. Full stop.
Or what about the naturally occurring wildlife? It's pretty hard to control.
Well, then they're not there.
They're just not there.
They're not there. So the figures were that in 1959 they were doing annual counts for how many reports were found, and in 1959 600 rats were reported found and killed. Yeah. Fast forward to 2003 and only 4 were found. And since 2003. Since then, none have been found.
Are they allowed them for research purposes?
You're only able to get a licence for them if you're a zoo, if you're a university, if you're a college.
Or laboratory.
And that's it.
Yeah, because they're very, very useful to human medicine research.
But if you're a private citizen, you can't own a rat.
No.
Not even a hooded rat or a white rat or anything.
No.
Get a $5,000 fine for it. And to this day, the residents are still encouraged to report any signs of rats that they see.
They're missing out on a brilliant pet. It's a shame.
Well,
Really.
I think it's become a bit of a thing, really. It's become part of what they are as a province, really. There's no draw to it other than like a small amount of damage they might do. But I found something quite interesting. Let me flip back to me view. There's a poster that was produced.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, let me put it on first. This is a poster from the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it was made by.
I'd love that for the wall.
I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thought, actually, getting one of them. You could probably get that printed on some tin or something. Would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
It would.
I mean, it would
I
be
love 1950s things.
It would be a
anyway,
bit of tongue in cheek, but yeah.
Kill him. He carries germs. Where are you going, Rory? Eh?
I thought that was quite a it's very typically 1950s.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, there's a picture of no red eyes or anything like that.
It's got sticky out teeth, which you wouldn't see from that angle.
No, the teeth are not really in perspective, are they?
Just put some nasty teeth on to make it look evil.
He's a menace.
Menace to health.
So yeah, I found that really one of the only places that they're not. I mean, there's plenty. As Annette's mentioning in the comments, there's places in the US where it's legal to keep them as pets, which is true. There is.
Yeah.
But none of them counties in the US have them completely removed. So this is the only place where they're actually not found in the wild.
Alan Deans is here again, which is lovely. Lovely to see. His ball study.
Exactly. That's good. I thought that was just a really, really, really interesting.
It is. It's bizarre.
Yeah, one of the only places. So I guess as a rat tourist, the one place in Canada you probably don't want to go to. The one place that even if they do allow pouchies at some point in Canada and the US, you probably won't be there.
No.
But yeah. So, Rory.
Well, yeah, since we last spoke, we've acquired a new family member. Her name is Rory, and she is a Dutch Gambian pouched rat. She's 12 weeks old, just over, and she came to the UK to live with us on Monday. And the way she's settled in has just been remarkable, hasn't it?
Yeah, she's not been in any trouble at all.
She's been fantastic. We got her from a Dutch breeder called Marta. Came over here with a sister who went to another home, and when she's old enough, which won't be for a long time yet, but when she's about a year old, we're hoping that she'll be able to go with some of our boys and be a mum. But we're thrilled with her, absolutely thrilled. Don't know what else I can say about her really, other than she's just acted like she's always lived here. They're not all like that, especially the girls. The girls can be quite skittish, but
well, she has, and we've mentioned this before. How the girls, personality-wise, when our experience are very different, they tend to be a lot more distant, a lot less likely to bond with you. But she's very different. She will sit there of an evening with you. She's very confident. She's not nervous at all.
No.
I think she fits right. And so we like to keep ours in pairs if we can. Male-female pairs work well, even if they're not together for breeding. So this is partly why we've got some males that have been neutered as well, because that gives us options.
Yeah, it does. It gives us options for the girls to actually have a companion. Because contrary to what used to happen years ago when they were kept solitary, we've now got people coming through the society who are keeping them either in pairs or in groups. Groups we haven't achieved yet.
Well, there's always
pairs,
someone. It's like
the pairs are doing really well.
Little pouchy logic, isn't there? Pouchy arguments.
Yeah, the
someone
pouchy
doesn't
politics.
pouchy politics. Someone
Yeah.
doesn't like someone for some reason or another. But at the moment, so she's moved in with Arthur, and Arthur's not lived with another pouchy for around a year and a half. And he's begrudgingly taken to it, isn't he?
Yeah, he grumbles a bit when she moves and disturbs him, but it was quite funny because we put her bed next to his, and they've got identical sort of tent, teepee.
His and her bed.
Yeah, and she was in her bed, and bit by bit she's been poking her nose in Arthur's bed, and he's been screeching.
Well, we went to bed,
"Get
didn't
out!"
we? We went to bed.
Yeah.
That we put them in before they all came out. So they were in together. They came out. They did their thing. When we put them in, Arthur had gone back to bed. She's poking her head in there and just getting a meh meh meh. Arthur doing that in her face. And then slowly overnight, obviously, he's gone to sleep and she's gulped in there and fallen asleep. And he's woken up and seen her going, hello! And we just had, as he chased her out of her bed.
Yeah, there's no malice there. He's not.
Arthur's not. He's not got that in him at all, and he's obviously, because he's been neutered, he's got no desire to mate with her or anything.
No.
So there's that takes a huge drive of it out.
And she loves him. She's just sneaking in his bed the whole time when she can.
All right, I think at this age, having a companion, someone to learn from, because when you watch her with Arthur out, he'll do something like climb up the stairs, and then you can see the cogs in her head turning. She's going, that's how I get up the stairs. That's, they have to learn from someone. And Arthur's a great person to learn from because he's very, very smart in the things he does.
Yeah, I think the needs in varying degrees. I think they need their own kind.
I think so.
They need their own kind for warmth in the winter. It regulates their body temperature.
Yeah.
And they can communicate with one another for good or bad in ways that we can't.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
Did you have you had some stuff about names you wanted to talk about?
I did, yeah. I was just going to say I'm really, really pleased that she's settled in so quickly, and now that she's with Arthur, she's not lonely, which is always a big thing for me. I hate to think of them being lonely. We've broken the mould a little bit with names this time, and we've named Rory after a rat that is still very much with us and alive. The tradition that we decided on when we got Arthur was that if we got any more, we were going to name them after fancy rats that we'd had in the past, because we've had loads, absolutely loads. We met through having fancy rats, so I got my first pair of rats from Lewis, who was breeding them. Arthur came along, and he was a rescue, wasn't he? He was a rescue from Pets at Home that then went to someone and he wouldn't settle, and then you rescued him. The original Arthur. Yeah, no,
so someone had bought him from Pets at Home. He didn't settle with them. I took them both on. Temporarily, it was initially. I took him and his brother on. This is Arthur the Fancy Rat for a couple of weeks. Tried to get them to tame down a bit, and then sent them back, and they still didn't really settle. So I kept them indefinitely after that. And Arthur just went on forever,
Arthur
didn't he?
Just went on and on and on. He was a brilliant rat. He was a bit of a bully, but even at 3.5, he was dragging himself around on his front legs because his back legs had gone really weak. And he was still ruling the cage.
Oh, he was still in charge. No one ever messed with him.
Yeah, he was fantastic. So when we got Arthur, the pouched rat, we thought we'd call him after Arthur.
It works. We call them legendaries, don't we? So it doesn't really matter. There's no naming convention for pouchies other than they have to be named after a fancy rat that we've lost.
That we've really loved.
Yeah, or in Rory, the fancy rat's case, we know that we're going to miss.
Rory's still with us, but she's turned 2 now. And we couldn't miss the opportunity because Rory is an absolutely beautiful animal inside and out, and we just wanted to take the opportunity really to honour her, even though she's still with us.
Yeah.
Lois.
Sort of licking your hand in there.
I know. Lois, Lolo. She was a rescue rat that was sitting all on her own in a pet shop, and we took her on, and she turned out to be a fantastic pet. Bob was a rat that we bred, and he absolutely loved babies. If you put baby males in the cage with him,
he loved
he used to let them ride around on his back, and they would take food out of his mouth, and he was a proper sort of father rat.
Oh, he was, he was a such a positive figure to be. But I think it just shows, doesn't it?
And so on and so forth. All the ones that we've named after other rats.
Being legendary.
That we've known and loved.
And there seems to be with our pouchy babies that tend to be taking on Viking names. That seems to be.
There's a bit of a trend, isn't there?
Yeah.
And they're sort of they're very forceful.
Very
and rampaging and they're living up to their names. Yeah.
I think they very much do. Very much do.
Well, we've got Floorkeep with Annette, and we've got Odin with Sarah, haven't we?
And hopefully, there'll be another litter soonish. I have a feeling that Alice will be due a second litter soon.
Well,
it'll probably be the last one before. Yeah. Now I can't see anyone mating now. The weather's getting colder. Obviously Lois still did it, but like last year, that isn't normal.
No, that is not the norm. And Lolo and Bob are retired for now anyway, because Bob's been neutered.
No more Bobs.
So there may be a Gustin and Alice, and Tetra and Venus live together, but I still don't think Tetra's quite old enough to be doing the deed. So, yeah, a little bit of a gap till the spring hopefully would be nice. I do miss having babies though.
Oh, I do. It's nice having. I don't know where we find the time to get them out, because when they're no longer here, we wonder where we get the time.
Well, those last three, that last Bob and Lolo litter, were absolutely gorgeous.
They were.
Weren't they? And yeah, I still think about them, still miss them now. But we've got another little one. Well, not tiny little, but maybe I'll get her out and show her to the camera, yeah?
Yeah, get her out, stick her on your shoulder.
Because you have been so
She just
good.
sits in her pouch.
You've been so good, haven't you? Hey. Let's have a look. It's hard to tell, isn't it? Where? There she is.
Mm. Hey. You good girl.
And she...
No.
She's all bitey.
Look at your nose. She's got a really beautiful face.
And she's got odd fur. She's got a slightly longer coat than you would expect. And actually, have you ever seen a satin rat?
Yeah, I have.
Their coats look a little bit transparent like glass, and her coat at the bottom here,
it's very
near the tail, is almost sort of transparent. It's weird. She has got different fur, so whether that will be passed on when she breeds, I don't know. Oh, look at her.
I mean, unlikely,
It's just sitting there, look. It's absolutely gorgeous.
I have to say, should we have a quick scan through the comments? What have we got? Yeah, so...
Annette said we need a bin rat.
We do need a bin rat. Bin rat was... Where did we come up with that? That was a name for one of the fancies. It was... I think because he looked...
We spelt it in a very sort of German, sophisticated way. And his name was actually Bin Rat.
Everyone thought, oh, Beinrat. It was like some sort of German name. But, yeah, he was great.
There's just too many to mention. There's so many lovely ones.
That has been. We got
Scorpion.
Bob with us again, as always.
Scorpion's a new one. Hello.
We've got Susan from Las Vegas again.
Yeah.
We've got Alan, Annette.
Suri Blanche, Miss Z-Tech.
Do you think he'll teach you to use a toilet?
Well, I have put her on the toilet after Arthur's been on there, so that there's evidence that that's what it can be used for. But she's only just started to learn to use the water ball in a cage.
I think it's sometimes easier if they're kind of used to using water initially.
Yeah, I don't think she had that before.
But I think it's much easier if we don't have to empty poo bowls because they're going in the toilet.
Look, she's just sitting in my arms.
It's just licking.
Look. You don't get many that do this. They're very, very active.
Well, especially not with females, but yeah.
Or babies. So she's an absolute little star.
Rory's a Scottish boy's name.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of come up with Rory with the eye because it was an eye. Where did you?
It's Aurora. The fancy rat's name is Twilight Aurora.
Oh, when you shortened it to Rory.
Yeah, because I call them after stars, galaxies, constellations. They've got like a space theme. And she just called her Rory. I always called her Rory.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so this is Aurora, which is quite elegant, really. You look quite like an Aurora. Yeah. More bigly.
She's like, why am I here?
Yeah, she probably wants a little run now.
Floki's playing with his daddy.
Oh, is he? I hope he's behaving himself.
Yeah, I hope he's behaving himself now.
Yeah, because he kind of thinks he's the boss of everything, which he probably is at the minute.
Indeed. Oh, well, do you know what we'd love to do, Annette, at some point is we could have you on UnPouched at the same time talking about your experiences with Floki when you first got him
and with Yena.
And with Yena.
Before that, because that was a massive learning curve for all of us.
I think that with the ins and outs that went on, there'd probably be a huge amount of questions that people have, which
definitely
would be interesting. But yeah, we'll see. We hope we've covered off a nice few things today. It's been quite hard to find stuff to talk about today, surprisingly.
Yeah, news is thin on the ground, and I think that we're just lucky that we've got someone here to talk about who's trying to escape now.
She wants to have her roam.
Yeah.
So yeah. And Bascom said I knew there were little to no rats in Alberta, but mostly because of the movie Ratatouille. That's interesting. So they mention it in Ratatouille.
Really?
About there being no rats.
Oh.
Do you know, I've got a really bad ratty confession to make. I've never watched Ratatouille.
I don't think I have. I think I might have partially watched it, but not fully.
I think it's probably in the background at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's embarrassing.
Oh, that's one to tick off for Christmas then.
I have to address that.
Yeah.
I'm interested because I know they mentioned that bit now. Right, well, I think that's us unpouched.
I think so too.
We will see you again in a fortnight.
Yeah.
Hope everyone's enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
We'll see you again next time. Bye
All
for
right,
now.
Bye for now.